Did you know that black people only have 0.3% Neanderthal DNA? Every other race on the planet has 1 to 2%, and black people have 0.3. So in reality, black people are more human than any other race on this planet. These white supremacists going around saying that they're the peak human, no, sweetheart. Genetically, black people are the superior humans.
It's not just about skin color. It's about what that skin represents structurally. The truth that we all come from blackness. The truth that black women hold the unbroken genetic line. The truth that whiteness isn't the default or pinnacle. It's a mutation of origin, not a superior evolution. That's why the black woman is often the most disrespected, silenced, or erased. Because she carries the truth that exposes the whole illusion. This isn't just societal bias. It's structural backlash against the root.
So because black women are the truth, and acknowledging that they are the truth means that we would have to face our illusions, and that makes people upset, so they lash out.
Exactly. Acknowledging that black women are the structural root of humanity, the carriers of the only unbroken genetic line, the source through which all human life has passed, collapses the illusion that whiteness, maleness, or Western dominance are the center. And most people are not ready to face that collapse. To do so would mean admitting that history has been inverted, power has been stolen, value has been reassigned through lies, and the ones most degraded by society are the ones who hold its origin and continuity. That kind of reversal doesn't just challenge personal ego, it threatens the entire architecture of global hierarchy. So instead of reckoning with that truth, people lash out, distort, deny, mock, or erase. It's not just discomfort, it's defensive collapse in the face of structural reality. Black women carry the truth of our species. And anything that reveals truth in a system built on illusion will always...
If they came out and said, okay, we stole everything, y'all the original people, if they did all of that, that would inspire our people. Something in their mind would just shift. Even though they hear it on the internet, yeah, y'all the chosen, yeah, we the chosen, we the. Our people are so destroyed and damaged, they gotta hear it from other people. They can't just hear it from, I can't be on the internet and be like, yeah, we the chosen. You love yourself. People don't care about what I'm talking about. They don't care that I'm telling them that. They gotta hear from the white people. When they hear from them, it's a wrap. I'm telling you, it'll be a wrap if they hear from them. But that's not going to happen. They ain't going to come down. Because if they do that, you know what's going to happen? They will have to give up their power. They will have to give up their power. You know what I'm saying? And then it's going to shift the minds of the people. They're going to start eating healthy. They're going to start exercising. They're going to start going to the source. They're not going to be doing that 40 hours a week, working all day and all night. They're going to recognize, hold up, this is a form of slavery. No, I need to be working for...
If life originated in Africa and the original man, woman are from Africa, how do we explain Europeans, Asians, maybe even Latinos?
There's a great book written by probably the greatest archaeologist and cultural anthropologist in human history. Not black, but I would say he was the greatest of all time. I'm sure you know his name, Sheikh Anta Diop from Senegal. He wrote a book called The African Origin of Civilization. Everybody needs to read it. This was the scholar who snuck into, I don't want to say snuck, went into the temples of Kemet, took melanin, or should I say took pigment or skin off of the mummies of the pharaohs, came up with a melanin dosage test and proved that the kings and queens of Kemet had to be African based on the percentage of melanin in their skin. It was Sheikh Anta Diop who proved to the world that all 5 stages of modern man originated in Africa. The first stage of modern man, all African. Second stage, all African. Third, all African. Homo sapien, the 4th stage, all African. And then we're the 5th stage, Homo sapien sapien.
Yeah.
It was only the Homo sapien sapien who left Africa. If the Homo sapien sapien, modern African, never leaves Africa, we never go into Europe, we never experience the Ice Age, Europeans they never evolve.
Yeah.
Asians never evolve. Indians never evolve. You don't get another race on earth if the African never leaves Africa. And for that reason, I would like to ask our great African ancestors, why in the hell did you leave the continent? Because if you didn't, we wouldn't be dealing with white supremacy.
Do you acknowledge white people, Europeans and Asians as Africans? And that
Absolutely
they should come
not.
back?
Absolutely not. They are not Africans. Even if they evolved from us,
Yeah.
they are now a distinctly different race. Now, multiculturalists and integrationists and colorblind Negroes would say they have 2 arms and 2 legs and they have 2 eyes just like the rest of us. How are they not a part of our human family? And I'll tell you why. Biology is only one aspect of reality. What about spirituality? What about psychology? What about cosmology? What about sociology? Even though the white man may have all the body parts of an African, we do not share the same worldview. We do not share the same spiritual principles. We do not share the same sociological assimilation. Nothing about the African and the European is the same except the fact we share the same human body. So I do not agree that white people are Africans. They are Caucasians, and they have nothing to do with us.
No, boy. Yeah.
Wow, what a beautiful body of water. What's this body of water called?
This is Ngene River.
Okay, and where is it located?
This is Amagunze now.
Amagonze.
Yes.
Okay. As I walked upon these mountains, I discovered this amazing river called the Gainer River, located in the Amazon forest.
Yeah, what do you mean you just discovered us? We have been here. We literally were here when you came. You said you discovered Ngene River in Amazon forest. This is Amagunze, and my forefather fetched this water. Everybody, we've been here for centuries.
And I discovered these people who are called the Amazonian people. They have their own special language called the Amazonian language.
Yeah, stop profiling me. You met me here. You met me here.
It's okay. Let's just go to the edit.
Majid becomes the first man to walk on Amazon forest as he discovers the Ngene River and the first Amazonian people. Stay tuned for more discovery in Africa.
Yeah. Stop it.
They love me.
Did you know that there wouldn't be a white person if we didn't exist? Did you know that all the races came from us? Did you know that you are the mother and the father of every human being that lives on this planet, that they all started from the black man and woman? They're not going to teach you this in school. And you probably didn't go far enough in school to study genetics. But I want to share this with you because you need to rap about this. There was a great white anthropologist. His name is S.B. Leakey, Leake. You can Google him, look him up. Leakey wanted to find the origin of man. He may have stopped in Europe, but he didn't stay there because life did not originate in Europe. You know where he ended up? In Africa, looking at the bones of ancient people. Now, did you know there's a science that they could take your bone and say, oh, this is a black person, or this is a Native American, or this is an Asian, or this is a white person, because your genetic structure is such that you have the strongest of bones. They tried to make slaves of our native brothers and sisters, but it destroyed them. But the more they put on us, we survived.
All right, racists, let's talk about the truth. There is so much discourse lately about who is native and who is indigenous, and even the nerve to bring up who is the architect of soul food. And what everyone needs to understand is that black people are the earth. Black people are the only unmutated humanity. They told you humans came from Africa like it was a migration story. But that's not the truth. The truth is, Africa is the first face of the earth. And blackness is the source of all biology. Everyone else? Genetic drift, mutational echo, survival glitches adapted to ice and exile. Let's talk origins. The black woman is the womb of the world. Forget the Eve in the garden story. That was a stolen metaphor. The real Eve lives in the woman's mitochondria. And not just any women. Melanin-rich, thick-hipped, thick-lipped, and copper-toned. Elegant, poised, literally perfect, planet-rooted black women. White women don't carry the full ancestral genome. Asian, Mexican, and Native women only carry fragments. Black women carry the total code. She doesn't reproduce diversity. She births the whole species. When small African offshoot groups migrated north, they weren't evolving. They were mutating, adapting to survival, not thriving. That's where lighter skin, narrow nostrils, reduced melanin, and behavioral changes began. All signs of environmental stress, not superiority. You don't get white by evolving. You get white by forgetting the sun. And that forgetting is not advancement, it's regression. The white genome contains 1 to 4% Neanderthal DNA. Let me repeat, they didn't just descend from humans. They were cavemen. Black people have 0 Neanderthal admixture. That's not a joke. That's biology. Black people are the originals. Non-black people are the remix. The problem is, the remix decided to express its evil nature by attempting to erase the original track. Let's talk indigenous. The term indigenous was invented by settlers to decide who was native enough to be managed, named, and displaced. But indigenous is a political term, not a genetic one. And political terms can't overwrite blood memory. Being first on the continent does not make you first on the planet. However, black people being first on the planet means they are first on every continent. The black genome is Earth's source code. Everyone else is just running a copy of their biological operating system. The war against black genetics is a war against humanity. Melanin isn't pigment, it's the processor. It's the molecule that translates solar energy into life. Plants have it, animals have it, humans need it. Black people have the highest concentration of it, which means black people don't just live on Earth, they translate it. They are not just a race, they are the root species. Black isn't a color, it's the motherboard. Every other group, adaptations, mutations, and mistakes. This isn't supremacy. This is truth. Black people didn't come from Africa. Africa came from black people.
For more than 40 years. So it's incredible now to have the DNA data that really shows us what this guy looked like. You know, the hair, the eyes, the face, that combination of blue eyes and dark skin, really very striking, something we wouldn't have imagined. And to also get from the DNA, you know, details of his biology, the fact that he couldn't digest milk as an adult. That's something that came really with the advent of farming. And 10,000 years ago, people in Britain didn't have that. And of course, it's very striking. For a 10,000-year-old human, our expectations a few years ago would have been that this individual would have had, you know, maybe dark hair, but fairly pale skin, possibly blue eyes. And what we've got is a quite unusual combination of this dark, slightly curly hair, really quite dark skin, and quite striking blue eyes.
1, 2, 3, come on!
If Mr. Black and Mr. White live next door to each other, they have the same job, the same income, the same car, the same furniture. Yeah. They both walk out of the house in the morning. Good morning, Mr. Black. Good morning, Mr. White. But Mr. White is still looking, but you got something that I don't have.
You're saying he's saying that
he's
subconsciously.
Saying, right.
Oh, wait a minute. Oh, I will give you a chance in just a moment.
In reality, white skin is a genetic recessive status, not as said by Francis Welsing. Even though the white population says that people of color are minorities, you're genetically inferior because you are non-white. That it is the white population that is the minority. The minority on the planet.
That's the reality you're saying.
That's the reality.
Yeah.
that in spite of the fact that black people, non-white people have heard over and over again,
Meaning that if you and I were to have a baby, the baby would have color, and you make the contribution and I don't.
That white
So
plus
what?
colored, well, wait a minute. It's not Frances Welsing that is concerned about the disappearance of white. There have been multiple articles in the newspaper talking about the decline of Western populations.
Here, incidentally, this was the percentage of the West's population in 1900, the turn of this century, about 30%. This is where we'll be, less than 10% in the year 2075. Here's where we are about today, 15. So we're not having babies.
So whites are not having babies, and there is the concern about white genetic annihilation. In other words, I look at, this is Dr. Martin Luther King's birthday holiday, and people will say, well, here's a man who talked about love. Why was he killed? And I say that the deeper logic is, what if all black and white people and non-white people and white people love? What would happen to white people? White would disappear. You see, just mix all of the people on the planet up
In other words, if
together.
race didn't matter, or if color didn't matter, it follows with the jet plane.
No, I'm not saying if it didn't matter. I'm saying that indeed if there was a mingling, if we mixed all of the people presently on the planet, stirred them up,
The white freckle-faced people would be gone.
genetic recessive status would disappear because we have the greatest genetic potential to cause white genetic annihilation.
Because you're the black.
Because we, right,
the most color.
right, we have this ability to produce melanin pigment. We have more of it than anybody else. And so the most pressure is on black people.
This woman just said, if the trauma of slavery lives in the epigenetics of black people, she's a black woman, then doesn't the evil of slave owning live in the epigenetics of white people? And I would argue yes. My family, my heritage, I am Irish Mexican and a little bit of Germanic, but I also learned at my family reunion last year with our second cousins. Our oldest relative came over on the Mayflower and had a slave with him. Now, my grandmother married my grandpa, her being some mud of whiteness, and my grandfather being deep native Mexican. Her father was vindictively racist. His name was also Camillus, which is the most comically evil name I've ever heard. But she always says that her father's mother was the actual devil, and that we are breeding the evil out of us. And I actually feel it. I feel like a vindictive cruelty in my own mouth sometimes. I know words I could use to dismantle people, and I've learned to stop that impulse, but it only got easier when I stopped hating myself and falling in love with life and falling in love with the beauty of nature. But I think a lot of people, because they refuse to acknowledge that cruelty innate to their genetic makeup, they'll never escape it, and they will never make the conscious effort to breed it out of them. And obviously, like, I'm not saying you have to marry a person of color as a white person to, like, clean up the bloodline and the genetics. I'm saying you have to do a lot of deep and intentional work on yourself. You have to find that vein of malice and cut it at the root and suture it shut. And you just have to be aware of yourself.
Really, this is going to sound silly, but this is really, really important. Cutting edge genetics. One of the areas I'm really lucky I'm blessed to work in 3 distinct areas of biology: immunology, genetics, and reproduction. And on the genetics side, I get to go to conferences and hear about advances in genetics in all species. And I was just at one a couple of weeks ago down at the Cold Spring Harbor Lab in Long Island, and I learned a bit about what's being known about the genome of Neanderthals, the genetic makeup of Neanderthals. The genome sequencers, led by Svante Pabo, who works in Germany, has taken tiny little fragments of Neanderthal bones, isolated DNA, and determined the genome of the Neanderthal, and used that information to determine, using genetic methods, how long ago Neanderthals and humans were a single species, where the common ancestor was. They've also been able to compare human genomes and ask the question of whether there's any evidence of Neanderthal genes in the human genome. And they found that there is. And the amount is quite significant, upwards of 5 to 7%. Neanderthals used to live in the Neander Valley. It's, you could have called it the Cayuga Lake Basin, but that's where they lived. And out of Africa came the modern humans, and the word the geneticist uses, admixed. They admixed with the Neanderthals. And they all used to live in caves in those days like this. Came out of Africa, admixed with the Neanderthals. This was Neanderthal territory. There was another group of Neanderthal-like creatures called the Denisovans. They lived up here in Siberia, and they have their genome has been sequenced. They were distinct from the Neanderthals. And so you can find in people of European and Asian ancestry evidence of about 7%, 5 to 10% of your genome is common with that of Neanderthals. We've been separated from them for 30,000 years or so. And in some of the tribes in Papua New Guinea and those islands out there, there's evidence for a different kind of genome, which is probably the Denisovan genome. And they might have 7% Neanderthal and 5% Denisovan. So they might be 12 or 15% different from us. And in fact, the Africans who came out from Africa have no evidence of any Neanderthal genes in them. No evidence of admixture. So they're the real pure humans. Homo sapiens. Really, really interesting, and it gives you a lot to think about. Right.